Hey, we're diving right into today's work, soul contracts. The contract that you laid up and said you were going to obtain when you were here in this physical experience. Do not confuse soul contracts with the one that you might have with another person, your partner, your ex, that complicated coworker, right? Those are contracts we have with people, and that's a whole other video. This is the one that you decided when you were on the other side and you sought counsel and you were getting ready to work with your guides to come into this incarnation. So what are you doing, right? The 12 different archetypes that Caroline explains, and I can't wait to teach them to you, are like the healer, the teacher, the prostitute, the child. These are all different archetypes. And the last part I want to share before we dive and get in deeper into this work is don't confuse this with your work. That's a whole other video and a different topic. So today, let me introduce you to the different archetypes through the work of Caroline Myss. And I can't wait to share this work with you. And I will see you inside today's video and podcast. Stay listening. Enjoy. Okay, first up for business, get grounded. In order to do this work, I need you in your body. Are you ready? What if I told you that your soul signed a contract prior to coming here, even before you were born? A divine agreement filled with lessons of love and, yes, even those little plot twists that have happened along the way. Well, that is today's video. I'm going to help you identify the soul archetypes guiding your life, and we're going to use Caroline Myss's work, Sacred Contracts, as our guide. And I'm going to give you an overview and an introduction to each one of the archetypes so you can go a little bit deeper using her, hopefully, in her YouTube channel to dive deeper into these archetypes. And oh yeah, spoiler alert, there's absolutely a quiz because I know everybody on my channel loves to take a quiz. This teaching today has 2 videos. In the description and in the cards, you will also see that there is a test to go with this work. I'm going to be dividing it into 3 categories. We have the survival archetypes, the archetypes that are all about expression, and then lastly, the power archetypes will be last. So let's start with survival and, more importantly, the child. The child archetype. Your inner child is that part of you that craves safety, innocence, and play, but also carries your childhood wounds. It's how you respond when life feels unsafe or uncertain. If you were in power, you would be trusting and open. And if you're shadow side or out of power, you might act guarded, maybe even needy. I'm also going to be giving you the pop culture icon that's connected to this, the person that I feel most identifies with this archetype. And in this case, Drew Barrymore. And she has this beautiful quote, "I never want to lose that little girl inside of me." I think it's a great saying and certainly a good representation of the child archetype. The second survival archetype is the victim. And Oprah Winfrey is perfect for this archetype. This archetype helps you recognize when you feel powerless or like life is maybe happening for you. 2 sides of the coin there. It can be the key of reclaiming your strength or the reason you keep telling that trauma story without actually healing. Oprah Winfrey, she openly talks about her trauma, but she uses it to transform and embody and empower herself to help others. So please don't feel that if you got the victim, that it means you're only on the negative side of this and always acting as the victim. The victim is triumphant in the sense that, well, Megan's Law, mothers against drunk driving, right? These are some great things that surely came out of the victim and that archetype. Next up, we have the prostitute. But hold on, don't kill the messenger. It's not what you think. It's about where and when you will sell out. And and what you will sell out for. This archetype shows up any time that you're willing to compromise your values, your time, or even your energy. We've all been there. And we do this for security, for validation, and sometimes approval. So would ask the deep question, where are you for sale? Good comment below if you're interested. Andy Sachs is a great example. The Devil Wears Prada. She trades her values for success, then reclaims her integrity. Next up, we have the Saboteur. This archetype is your inner critic. It's the doubter. It's before your breakthrough, and the voice always says, you can't do this. The truth is, though, it's a gift. It's teaching you to recognize that you are self-sabotaging your own life before it totally takes over. And I think of George on Seinfeld, the master of overthinking, who lived in fear and was always fumbling for his success. A great line out of Seinfeld, George said, "It's not a lie if you believe it." Clearly a saboteur comment, right? I also think of somebody who would procrastinate too much, or maybe not raise their hand in a meeting, afraid of saying it wrong, or maybe even not applying for a job that they're qualified for because somebody else might be a little more qualified than them. They think. The next group of archetypes are the expressive archetype, starting with the healer. These are the ones, and many of you know them well. You have a deep drive to help others, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And the shadow side here can also include a little codependency, maybe early burnout, or the needing to fix people who haven't even been asked for help. The healer must also learn to heal themselves. Claire Fraser in the series The Outlander is a perfect example of this. She's an intuitive healer who often overextends herself to help others at the cost, yep, you guessed it, of her own peace. Next up for the expressive archetype is the teacher. This archetype absolutely thrives on sharing their wisdom and guiding others. It's truly when they feel most alive, passing on their lessons, sharing their tools, and even their insights with the people they serve. But the shadow here can become a little preachy, maybe even dogmatic, or needing to be the authority on everything. Yoda from Star Wars is such a great example of a teacher in power. He teaches with profound wisdom, but he truly knows when it's time to let the student find their own path. Next, we have the seeker, constantly searching for the truth, the meaning of life, or that next thing. The seeker is spiritually hungry, curious, and especially restless. They're never satisfied with anything that feels like shadow, and often run from commitments or things that feel too complete. As far as completing things, Elizabeth Gilbert from Eat, Pray, Love is a great example. She left everything behind to pursue spiritual fulfillment. The seekers truly are the ones who are seeking the truth, and I love this archetype. And the last of the expression archetype is the artist. This creative soul lives to express beauty and truth through painting, music, writing, dance, or any unconventional self-expression that this archetype can think of. Its shadow side, however, is the tortured soul syndrome, by using art as an escape rather than an opportunity to express themselves. A great example of this is Frida Kahlo. She was a Mexican artist, and she was raw and honest and deeply emotional. And she painted symbolic art. It reflected her pain and also her power. Starting with the power archetypes, the warrior. The warrior fights for justice, protection, and personal boundaries. This archetype shows up, speaks up, and defends what matters. But be aware, these archetypes burn out. They're a little controlling or can confuse fighting with power instead of earning it. Wonder Woman is a great example. She was strong, principled, and devoted to the truth and even justice. And as you can imagine, in today's world, a warrior out of power might not be a very good thing. Ding, ding. The Lover Archetype. This archetype thrives on connection, passion, and even intimacy. At its best, it expresses compassion and divine union. Its shadow side, however, can get lost in love and also be in service to others, for it craves attention and certainly validation. Marilyn Monroe is a perfect example. She was vulnerable. She was magnetic. She was longing for authentic connection beneath her glamour. And the best expression that I could find for her quote, "A girl doesn't need anyone who doesn't need her." Next, we have the mystic, drawn to the unseen realms, right? The mystic seeks union with the divine. This one is often misunderstood. This archetype is deeply intuitive, very spiritual, and symbolic. The shadow side, you ask? Absolutely. Escaping the world instead of integrating with it. Carl Jung pioneered the unseen world of the psyche and the different spiritual archetypes. If you look back to this system too, he had different names for it. Very similar in the work that we're doing today, but different names to explain the archetypes. Let's move on to the last one, the visionary. The big picture dreamer, the guide for our future, the visionary archetype. The visionary also sees what's possible and inspires others to believe it too. Their shadow side is that they can be a little delusional and sometimes grandeur in their thinking, and they often fail to act on those visions. Steve Jobs is a great example of this. He revolutionized technology by seeing what others simply could not, even if his people skills needed a lot of work. His favorite saying was, "Stay hungry and stay foolish." Here's the big question for today. Why find out? Why know your archetype? Hey guys, it's to awaken your divine potential. When you do this, you start identifying those archetypes. You stop asking stupid questions like, what's wrong with me? And you ask better questions like, what am I here to learn? You start healing those old wounds by seeing the patterns that you're creating in your own life. And you truly do step into divine potential when you embrace who you truly are, not who you think you should be. And instead of resisting your growth, you start to trust it, which is exactly what this whole channel is all about. Okay, it is at this point in the podcast or the video that I invite you to click on the links either in the show notes or right here up in my cards for the test. And the test is really going to identify your soul contract for yourself. And I can't wait for you to dive more into this work and refer to this video, come back to this video and look. You'll see it differently once you know what different archetype you are. And I've also given you a link to my Google Drive, which will give you a printable version of the test and the little illustrations I used in this podcast and in this video. Thanks again for being part of it. I can't wait. Let me know in the comments below what your archetype is. I'll post mine there to join the conversation. I will see you next podcast. Bye, guys. Namaste.